everybody and welcome along to a brand new video. Welcome to day 7 of my 15 days of Doctor Who. I hope you've been enjoying all the fantastic videos I've been doing so far. I've been loving the support you guys have been giving me in all of these videos. It's been fantastic to see. And we've still got another 8 to go after this, which is really exciting as well, where we're literally just, 2-3 days away from Series 12 airing now. It's so exciting. So of course it's the perfect opportunity to get stuck in, look at the interviews we had so far, what information we've got so far, and try and do a big old preview of Series 12. So yes, hopefully in this video I'm going to give you guys a rundown as much as I've read into it in terms of reading interviews with the cast and crew, sort of looking into filming pictures and information we've had in the past, and try and just give out as much information as we possibly can find about what to expect from Series 12, formats, what things are going to be turning up in it, any ideas and concepts behind it, and just anything we can find really, I think, to try and give you guys a bit of an insight in what to expect for Series 12. So firstly, the basics of it is that we've got a 10 episode series once again, plus at some point a special airing in the future. There is a special that has been filmed, which was filmed at the end of the Series 12 filming block as well, just we don't know quite when that's going to air. It might not be until the festive period next year, which is a shame, but for now we've got 10 episodes with episode 1, at least in the UK, airing on New Year's Day at I believe 6:55 PM. Running for 65 minutes as well, an hour and 5 minute opener, and then apparently it's a continuation. Well, we definitely know it continues on Sunday, the 5th of January, and then it's every Sunday from there, with the finale, episode 10, airing on the 1st of March on that Sunday as well. So it'll be very much, we've got the first couple of months of 2020 to enjoy Doctor Who every single Sunday night. The episodes will be taking the same similar format of being 50-minute episodes, at least in the most part. I've seen rumours that episode 2, which is the second part of a 2-part story to start the series, is going to be a hour-long episode as well, so we might be having 1 hour 5 minutes for the first episode and an hour for the second episode, creating a full 2-hour epic opening story called Spyfall, of course. Past that, we don't have any episode titles or, to be honest, huge amounts of information about what's likely to be happening in each of the episodes in the rest of the series. We do have a list of writers, but we don't know which episodes they are writing for, so it kind of makes things a little bit more tricky. And we do directors as well again, but again, we don't know what episodes they've specifically done, and I don't think we're going to get that information kind of until 2 or 3 weeks before each episode airs, most likely. In some ways that's good because it leaves a little bit of an element of surprise. We just don't know what to expect from it, but it's also a little bit of a shame that we can't kind of preview it so much and get so excited because we just don't know this key information. So the round of the Chris and all the cast have been doing interviews in the last couple of weeks that sort of came out mainly around a couple of weeks ago or so, giving a little bit of insight into what to expect from Series 12, some of the changes from Series 11 and things like that. I've read as much as I can into these different articles to try and sort of, I guess, précis it and give you some of the key things and key facts behind it. One of the main things worth noting is that Chris Chibnall, supposedly at least, had always planned for Series 11 to be very much individual episodes, having its own feel as a series, not really like anything that we had previously, not being too connected as stories, not calling back to the past, all of this in a recruitment drive to try and get new fans to join the show. Whether that's just an excuse for a not particularly good series, I don't know, but that is what he said, so I'm going to roll with it and say that was the idea. And so they decided that at this point, for Jodie's second series and Chris's second series, once they've got new viewers on, the existing viewers that wanted to stay have stayed, they've got a solid fan base to sort of work from, they're now ready to do something a bit bigger, a bit more exciting, a bit more interconnected with the story arc, as I'll get onto a bit more in depth into later, and having more callbacks to the past, which we obviously saw for the first time in Resolution, but still it was a fairly easily accessible episode and an accessible series as a whole, whereas Series 12 is definitely going to have more involvement from past aliens and villains to kind of connect it, just connect the show to its past a bit more, which I think is really important. So for Series 12 we've been told we should expect bigger, more exciting stories. We should expect 2-parters. We've got at least 2 of them in the series, potentially more, which is certainly exciting news. And just a more interconnected series as well in terms of having a story arc of sorts that Chris has certainly hinted at being something in there, which I think just makes it all feel more like a Doctor Who series. I'm certainly hoping that's what it's going to get the feeling of. Just bringing things back as well to the programme, like we've got the return of the cold opens, so the pre-title sequences that we used to have in pretty much every episode of Doctor Who up until Series 11, and then it was completely dropped for Series 11, but now Chris has said that when it's suitable, they'll bring it back. When it doesn't need to be done, they won't bring it back. And I think that's quite a good way to do it. Do it as the story demands, not just either every episode or no episodes. When it works, throw it in. When it doesn't, don't use it. So I'm looking forward to seeing a few more cold opens in Series 12 as well, which will be quite exciting to see. Of course, we know that all the main cast are returning for this series, with Bradley Walsh, Mandip Gill, Tosin Cole and Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, of course, but in terms of what is actually going to be happening to them and whether they'll make it through to Series 13, we have no idea, we have no information whatsoever. as to what to expect from that point of view. We don't know if they're in the special. I think, as far as I know, there wasn't any filming pictures of them in the special, so we don't know if they've made it through the series to the special or past the special or anything like that, which is quite exciting really, because it means that it would be a genuine shock and surprise if one of the main characters was taken out of the show for whatever reason. I think it does need to happen. I would think it would be a really not good for the programme to have a third consecutive series with all 4 of the same main characters. I just don't think that is beneficial to the programme. So as much as that sounds terrible, I am hoping that somebody is killed off or removed for some reason during this series, or by the end of this series or the special. I just think it's really important for the show to keep changing and moving forward and not just getting stuck with the same crew constantly. But we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. So that kind of covers the characters and main aspects of the elements of the format of the show and things like that. In terms of specific episodes, as I said earlier, we only really have Spyfall Part 1 and Part 2 as the main thing to work on. The use of Part 1 and Part 2 hasn't been used since the end of time, and before that was used in the classic series only, so this is only the second time we've had that in New Who. It's not massively important, but it's just a fact worth noting. Obviously, there's a little bit of hyperbole and generic PR lines that they say, but it's going to be the most big, bold, exciting episode of Doctor Who ever. Whether it is, who knows, but it has got Lenny Henry in it and it's got Stephen Fry in it, which are 2 pretty big names to have as characters or actors to be involved in a story like this to open the series. I always enjoy when Doctor Who opens with a big, exciting opening story, not a sort of... Well, I prefer Moffat's opening stories to RTD's opening stories, so read into that what you will in terms of what I prefer. But certainly I'm excited for Series 12's opener to really kick the show off with a bang, with an exciting cliffhanger as well, and just a great story that really has the scale that was kind of missing from Series 11. And based on what we know, it certainly looks optimistic that that's going to be the case, I think, for this story. Following on from that, in terms of things we know there's an episode that features the Jadoon. We think it's only a single part story, but again, it's not confirmed or sure. It would certainly have to have been written by different writers if it's going to be a 2-parter, which seems highly unlikely. And it's something to do with Jadoon in Gloucester, I think, but we don't quite know anything much more than that. Jadoon with a mohawk, which we saw at London Victoria Station a couple of weeks ago, which is really, really cool to see. I thought that was just a classic PR stunt, the sort of thing you would have seen in the RTD era, and it was so great to just see them engaging with the kids by having Jadoon out in a train station, a massive train station in London. I think worked really, really well. In terms of their storyline that we're going to have for them, who knows? They obviously, when they first came back, when they first were in the show, they were kind of the police essentially, and not really villains as such. So maybe there's a faction of their race that has gone off and turned into sort of more villainous aliens. I don't know. But it certainly presents some interesting prospects, and it's exciting to have a returning villain to the show again. Alongside that, we know for sure that the Cybermen are returning. We've seen them in the trailer. Again, we don't really know what their involvement, particularly in Series 11, is, whether it's only going to be a single episode or multiple episodes. If they have anything to do with the finale, who knows? Certainly the implication is that the finale is going to be a 2-parter. As from people, everybody's guesses and predictions, it looks like episode 9 and 10 are written by Chris Chibnall, which would certainly suggest a 2-part finale. Whether the Cybermen are in that or if they're in an earlier episode, we don't really know at the moment. I wouldn't personally be averse to either, really. I think they could work really well in a one-off sort of original concept idea story if they could do that, but also as the villain of the finale I think would work really, really well and have lots of interesting stories to tell as well, I think. There's also been rumours for a while about a story around Mary Shelley and the idea of Frankenstein, which just seems like the sort of thing that you're surprised Doctor Who hasn't done before, really, in terms of telling some sort of, well, I mean, I guess they have kind of told Frankenstein type stories if you look at Brain and Morbius maybe, for example, but telling a story about actual Mary Shelley, the sort of writer, sounds very interesting, I think, and definitely has some potential there. There's nothing confirmed and we don't know for sure, but Chris has hinted at it in an interview, so it seems pretty likely that's going to be the case. We also know for sure there's going to be a story involving Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison from the Victorian period, I think the early 1900s, when they were some of the pioneers in developing electricity and technologies around that, which should create quite an interesting historical story. It's also rumoured to have this new alien race called the Skithra, which is the sort of Rachnos-like race that we saw in the trailer and features Angela Mahindra from Sarah Jane Adventures who played Ryan in Sarah Jane Adventures, as the sort of queen or leader of the Skithra. I don't know what the story's going to be about, but that's some of the elements involved in that. We think that's going to be maybe episode 3 or episode 4, something along those lines, certainly in the earlier half of the series, but it's not particularly clear what exactly their involvement will be. Now, I know there's long been rumours about supposed Sea Devils returning for Series 12. Personally, I think that's unlikely at this stage. I feel like it would have, some sort of picture of them would have leaked by this point, or it would have been put in a trailer, or something would have been done or said if that was going to happen. There is a story to do with plastic, and that one where we see it on a beach and see all the birds in the trailer, that's supposedly something to do with plastics or something like that, but exactly what that story is about, I do not really know. That was rumoured to be the one to do with the Sea Devils, but I struggle to see, apart from there being the sea, but that's not really a sign it's the Sea Devils. I don't really know what else their involvement could be. So I think as much as I would love it, I genuinely would love it, it seems a bit unlikely, but we'll have to wait and see. You never know. I know there's also meant to be a story about a person called Noor Inayat Khan, who was some sort of kind of spy in World War II, who was involved in infiltrating and eventually got shot, I think, or killed. I think there's going to be a story. That story about Paris 1943, we believe, is something to do with this person as well. I must confess, something I didn't really know about before hearing about it in relation to Doctor Who, but again, could tell quite an interesting story. Certainly the vistas of Paris in World War II look quite impressive, and I think could create a really good setting for a story. It's always good to have a sort of, I think, a war-based setting, and I feel like that could do really well. No idea what episode that bit could be. There was rumours originally it was going to be episode 2, but then that doesn't really massively fit in with Spyfall. I don't really see how Paris 1943 fits with what seems to be the concept of Spyfall, so you never know, it might do, but I just feel like it still might be an early episode, so maybe episodes 3 and 4 will be this World War II one, and then this Nikola Tesla one. They might be those two, something along those lines, but we'll have to wait and see. And really, apart from that, we don't know a huge amount more about the programme. Maybe other people have found a little bit more out than me, but I don't think I've really found much more that have given strong hints as to what to expect from it. I'm sure, well, we've seen in the trailer, we're going to get several new monsters for this for this series. I'm certainly excited to see that one where we saw a creature trying to go through the TARDIS door. That looks like a very exciting idea and concept and episode potentially, so there'll be something interesting to look out for in there. We know that the Daleks are not, well, almost certainly not in the actual series, but are going to be in the special that's been filmed. They've been seen in pictures on location filming for the special, but Chris Chibnall has kind of hinted that they won't be in Series 12. And whether he's lying, who knows, but then he did basically confirm in the next sentence that the Cybermen are in it, so I feel like he would have said something if the Daleks were going to be in Series 12. So we'll have to wait and see, but it seems a bit unlikely. But overall, based on the 2 trailers we've had and all the information we've had so far, to me, Series 12 sounds like it just has so much potential. It feels like it's going to be that much more exciting than Series 11. It's going to have that much higher stakes. Obviously, we talked about the story arc and the idea of having that in there. It just feels like the characters are really going to be challenged in this series a lot more than they were in the last one, having a lot more sort of depth to their characters and emotional range being used for a lot more difficult challenges to overcome, I think, than what we saw in Series 11. And so that really creates so much more potential for a series, I think, and lots more exciting stories to tell. Having a more serialized series, I think, will be really, really effective. And just bringing back these returning monsters as well will just give it that connection to the past that I think Series 11 desperately needed. Of course, it could be a disaster and all go wrong, but I don't think that logically there's any reason to believe that. Everything that we know so far suggests it's going to be a better series and really, really exciting. And we've only got a few days to wait. So yes, hopefully that's given you guys a little bit of info, maybe that you didn't already know. Sorry if I've kind of just told you what you already know. I try my best to find it out, but you know Chris Chibnall, he doesn't like to tell us anything, so it can sometimes be a challenge to find out too much information about what's going on in the series. But I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know down below in the comments, what are you most excited about for Series 12? If you know anything that I haven't said in the video as well, let me know. I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. And just, yeah, get really excited in the comments for Series 12 that's coming on New Year's Day. But apart from that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, day 7 of my 15 days of Doctor Who. I hope you've been enjoying all of them so far. As always, there'll be a brand new video coming tomorrow, so do check it out. And don't forget to hit that like button. Of course, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and go back and check out my latest videos as well. There's lots of good ones there that hopefully you'll be able to enjoy. But apart from that, I'll see you guys tomorrow for a brand new one. Goodbye.